Honestly, I signed up because I was pretty desperate to change my life.
So in the past few years, I started just trying to run for my mental health. I'd always wanted to get into that trail running stream of things, but all I do is compare myself to others, and I have my whole life. It's always been just such a big part of my anxiety.
The 29th of March is the day of the Kunanyi mountain run and the ultra. The 29th of March is also the day Ned passed away when he was 6 in 2019. We palliated him at home. And our home is in bush facing Kunanyi, and he lay on that couch when he was very sick just watching the mountain, and that was just brought him so much peace. But I think for me this is a really significant way of memorialising that and him, because I'm in a place where he will love.
I'm quite old. I'm Tasha. I'm 51. I am adjusting to menopause. It's fun. For a long time, thought that I had anxiety and depression, but actually it was just menopause that was being sort of untreated. So for a long time, I kind of dealt with that, and also I have, a sick child, etc. as well. Apart from that, I was an architect, but I had to give that up to look after my daughter. So that was hard. So I don't know who I am. Yeah. Hopefully a runner.
So I do, I suppose, define myself a little bit by being a mum of young children and making sure I'm a good example for them. And I've always wanted my children to grow up enjoying the bush and enjoying the outdoors. I define myself, I suppose, as a doctor because I love being a doctor and I love medicine and I love getting alongside people to help them optimise their health. And then I'm not sure if I define myself as a runner, but I've always loved to run.
Who is Hannah? Well, I think at 33, I feel like I'm still figuring out who I am. I grew up quite active up until my 20s, and then went in this lull of full-time work, and a lot of play. And recently I've just started challenging myself to do things that I used to give up on, or I just didn't have the confidence to do. So this morning, we headed out. It's a completely new trail for me, this area, the Cathedral rock area. Having all of the water last night meant it was a bit more technical than normal, as Dave was explaining to us, but I think that was good. It's kind of good to go in a little bit of the deep end, literally as well, like going through the river. Again, something that maybe if I was taking myself out for a run, I'd just go around or avoid. But getting those skills and knowing there's things we can't avoid, so we may as well just go through them now. And I feel really good after doing that. It was nice to have a run and start to realise it's actually fun.
I was always a road runner. I didn't really know much about trail running. Then one Friday afternoon, 3.5 years ago, I got a message from a friend who's a runner saying, our first Kunanyi mountain runner in the relay tomorrow's pulled out. Can you do the first leg, please, tomorrow? And I thought, what's that involve? How many Ks is it? He said, it's 12K. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do that with no training and no preparation. Not realising it was the first leg, and it was just very steeply uphill, and I hadn't really done trail running before. And so it was a brutally steep learning curve on the spot in the race, but I loved it. When our second child was 2, and I was pregnant with our third child and studying for my medical fellowship exams, our 2-year-old was diagnosed with leukemia, and it had been a very stressful period because he'd suddenly stopped walking. And so when we finally got the diagnosis, it was just such a huge shock, and he got very sick very quickly. He went through some terrible treatments, and it's because I've been able to run through it and maintain my fitness and maintain that time in the outdoors, and have actively put aside that time pretty much every day through his treatment. It was a really hard time, and even through those last few weeks, I don't regret taking some time out from caring for him, knowing someone else was with him so that I could run, because you know, I thought to myself, am I going to look back and regret that I took this time out from him? And I said, no, you have to do what you have to do at the time. And I couldn't have survived all of that and parenting 3 other children if it hadn't been for being able to get out and run.
Yeah, I guess I've always been reasonably active. Somebody put their studs into my knee playing soccer a few years ago. I think I tore my meniscus at the time. I kind of ignored it, kept walking, it would swell up, etc. And then had an MRI about a year ago and it looked like it was pretty fine. So I've just kept walking on it, it's been fine. But the running has made it flare up a bit, and maybe the gym as well.
Whenever I'd go to the doctor about anxiety and they're going, right, we're putting you on medication, go see a counsellor, and you're doing that work. And then I'd always hear people talking about how good fitness is for mental health. It was one of those things where I would just brush it off and be like, yeah, sure, fitness will help, because it's that starting and that motivation. I decided to sign up because I wanted to challenge myself, number one. I kind of want to just not be that person anymore and for the mountain run, for me, it's about being able to finish it. It's not about times. I just want to get over that finish line and say, remember Hannah then, like, this is me now and this is what I can do if I put my mind to it.
Yeah, so the 29th of March is the day of the Kunanyi mountain run and the ultra. The 29th of March is also the day Ned passed away when he was 6 in 2019. So it's a bitter day for me. He was in a lot of pain. And so I suppose it's really significant that I'll be running a solo on the day that he passed away, and I will be in a lot of pain myself, but it's nothing compared to what he went through. I've never really known what to do on his, what we call Heaven Day. We've never really known how to signify that with our children other than visiting his grave. But I think for me, this is a really significant way of memorialising that and him, because I'm in a place where he will love. He loved the mountain, he loved going on bushwalks. I will be pushing myself to my limits, and I'll be able to process that, you know, in God's creation, in the bush, with nothing distracting me. And I think that will be the perfect way of not only helping myself process it, but also of showing my children post-traumatic growth and what you can do despite the hardship we've been through, because they all struggle. But they also love the bush, so I'm hoping that it'll be a good example to them as well.
Growing up in a small town, it was like all about football and netball and sports in our town rather than actual exercise and that mental health and physical well-being. So I kind of want to be inspiring to the people in those small towns that maybe aren't hearing that it's actually quite natural to have anxiety, and a lot of people have depression, but it's just having those tools to do something about it. I haven't noticed until my 30s that, you know, I'm undiagnosed, but there's definitely, I'm definitely on the spectrum somewhere, and I'm trying to take away any shame that there could be in that, and just, it's helping me to navigate what I am comfortable with and what kind of boundaries I can have, but also overcome. And for running, it's a thing that does stop me in my tracks is sensory. When I knew there was that storm last night, I was just worried because I was like, leggings, because I can hide my legs, but then I'm going to be hot, and if they get wet, then I'm trapped in that, and I don't like the smell of wet clothes. And so it's been really interesting overcoming all these thought processes.
I've been kind of contemplating whether this scholarship should have gone to someone else, because I feel really bad that I can't, I feel like I'm not able to embrace it in the way that I'd hoped to. So that's been challenging. I don't know, I sort of feel like I'm letting it down a little bit. I've spoken to Dave, the running coach, and we've just talked through other strategies. So I've been getting on the exercise bike and just making, you know, an effort. I want to be a runner. I really like being in the bush. I actually was walking yesterday up in the bush, and it's the first time I've actually wanted to run it, which is really unusual for me.